Everybody, thanks for joining us. We'll get started a little after 3 o'clock to see how many people come in. But glad I see some familiar names up there. Um, Keep in mind that what we're going to do first is we're going to talk about the faculty program, because faculty members are going to come on here first, are going to come on here with us too. And then I will talk about the student program. So that's how it's going to run today. So just sit tight, enjoy the show. We have a Q&A here for you to submit your questions. So please feel free to have them during our talk. But if you are a student, the first half you kind of can sit back because the faculty side is sort of radically different than the rest of it, than the student side. So just hang tight. Again, glad you're here. Look forward to talking to you in a minute. Hey, Dr. Boer.
Hello again. So I guess just the format, I'll get it started and then I will hand it over to you and you'll continue with your program. Well, firstly,
Okay.
will that work?
Well, do you want to do the faculty first, or do you want,
Yes.
or you want to do the faculty? Okay.
Yes, please, if you don't mind. And I might hop off a few minutes early because I have a faculty exit search committee interview at 4. I'm hoping we'll, so if I leave, that would be the reason.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay. Well, I see we already have 17 our participants are coming in. That's wonderful.
They're coming in.
Yes. We hope it will be a better year for travel.
Can only hope.
I can hear you very well. Is my voice okay?
Your voice is fine. And now I see Jimmy Waits' face.
Are you back in stateside?
Yes. The pandemic has moved me back stateside.
Wow.
But I did get to finish out the whole year in Taiwan, which is really
how wonderful is that?
You were it was amazing.
It was a few. Yes.
Yeah. A lot of people got pushed back home, but I got to stay.
That's wonderful. And thank you for being available today.
Mm-hmm. I love helping.
Good to see you. We haven't seen
nice
too many
to see
people
you
this
too.
year.
Yeah.
I was
So
telling
is this kind of like what it was when we did it 2 years ago with it's just open to the general public? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So they got, the students got a whole bunch of emails from me.
Yes.
A bunch of pesky emails telling them to register for a webinar.
Okay.
And so they're probably a little annoyed and a little suspicious about what this is all about. But that's why I brought you on. You're gonna go. Like, you listen to me and your life's fine.
Yeah. A healthy level of suspicion is good, right? I appreciated the reminder emails though, Matt.
See? At least somebody appreciates it.
Yeah.
I did. Thank you.
That's right.
You kind of have to send it out. Like UNA, I remember getting a lot of emails, and like they just kind of fall down under all the daily junk mail. So you kind of have to be persistent.
Yeah.
Matt, before we get started, you would need to give me sharing privileges. I have the share. I would need to share my screen.
Okay. Okay, I just made you both co-hosts.
Yes, got it.
Okay, so you should be well. So we've got 27. How about we give it like a couple more minutes for people to trickle in, and we'll get going.
Sounds good.
For everybody out there listening, it's good to see your name. Thanks for coming today. Sorry we couldn't do this in person, but it's a great program, and we're excited to tell it to you about it. So just hang tight a few more minutes, and we'll get the show started. Jimmy, do you have any like PowerPointy things that you need to show, or are you just gonna talk?
I'm just gonna talk.
Cool.
I thought about showing photos, but no, I'm just gonna talk. Yeah.
Okay, good deal.
Where are you now? Are you in Florence or Jimmy?
I'm in Huntsville.
Huntsville.
So I'm from Huntsville. Yeah, I've been in Huntsville since August. Yeah, living at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how has it been being back? Been good?
It's been good. It's weird, definitely coming from Taiwan back to the States. Like the middle of the pandemic was a little jarring. But it's been nice. I've spent a lot of time with my family, and I've really got to prioritize those relationships because I was in college for 4 years and then abroad for a year.
Yes.
So it's been nice.
That's good. There are some pluses, right?
Yeah, there are some silver linings to 2020, definitely. You kind of have to. That was a hard year. You kind of have to find some positives.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We have to touch base after this is over, Jimmy, and I can tell you what 2020, 21, 22 has been like.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, we need to do a catch up. I'm getting my vaccine next week.
Nice.
Be vaccinated. Well, it's just the first dose. I gotta get both doses. But
it's a start.
Yeah. Hopefully, when things have calmed down, we could do like a ramp down coffee thing.
All right. It looks like we got 31 people at 3:03. Dr. Boris, you want to get us going?
Sure.
Obviously, these are 31 people that couldn't get enough of Zoom meetings, so we gave them one more.
Well, we appreciate that very much. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for being here and your interest in global issues and the Fulbright program. So we hope that with the expanded vaccinations, we will be able to travel again and take full advantages of all these wonderful opportunities that we will be sharing with you. if you don't mind, I would like to share my screen, Dr. Price. So the Fulbright program. So what is the Fulbright program? It's essentially the flagship international educational exchange program that's sponsored by the U.S. government. And at UNA, firstly, let me just introduce myself. I'm Joy Bora. I'm in the Provost's office, and I serve as the liaison for the Fulbright program at UNA. And Dr. Price, who you will be hearing from in a few minutes, is the Fulbright Student Program Advisor. We are very proud that we have been top producer for 2 years, thanks to the hard work of Dr. Price. And we are also very proud to have one of our alumni and UNA alumni and Fulbright alumni, Jimmy, with us today. So you will get to hear a host of experiences that we hope will urge you to apply for this wonderful program. So as I was saying, it's a US sponsored program that was started by a US Senator from Arkansas, Mr. Senator J. William Fulbright in 1946. It's funded by the US Department, and it is administered through the US Department of State's Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs. And that is why when we talk about eligibility, this little bit of information will become relevant. So I gave you a little bit about who we are. So I'll talk about the Scholar program, and Dr. Price will talk about the student program. So the Scholar program, the competition opens in February, okay? Typically every year, it's always in February. So the way we do it, we send out a campus-wide announcement in the faculty digest that the competition is now open so that faculty who are interested can take a look at what the requirements are. And that is the typical timeline. The application deadline is always around September 15th, 15, 16, 17, one of those Wednesdays. So the new deadline, the upcoming deadline is September 15th. So those of you who are considering applying for the Fulbright, you have time. I mean, you do have time. Even if you haven't started, you do have time. And so some of the questions are, is it only research? It's very diverse in what Fulbright has to offer in both teaching, research, professional projects, and it's also very diverse in its duration. So if you feel like, oh, I can't commit to 1 year, if you can commit to 1 month or even for a few weeks, because there's a whole array of Fulbright programs that people can apply for. And one of the websites, I do recommend that you review and write this website down. It's www.cies.org. This has all of the information that I am talking to you about today. And I'm just giving you a little snapshot about what Fulbright is. For you to get the full program, I would really recommend that you go into the website and review that information. So why a Fulbright? How does it help you? They did a study and then found that Fulbright really helps recipients increase their technical skills, knowledge. It increases their understanding of their research, their discipline. More importantly, it increases their understanding of different cultures. We do live in a global world now, and the more global competence we have in working with different populations and cultures, that only adds to our professional competence, regardless of the field. And therefore, that is, to me, another very important reason for applying for a Fulbright scholarship. Now, who are Fulbrighters? So you would think, sometimes people think, oh, only people from Harvard may be able to get all these Ivy Leagues. That is absolutely a myth and not the case, because it is extremely diverse, and Fulbright is funded by the government to make sure that all states, and so the 50 states and districts and territories, all of them have opportunities to apply for the Fulbright. So please don't think that, oh, I'm from UNA and I'm not from Harvard or one of those institutions, I will never get a Fulbright. You are so totally qualified to get a Fulbright. And I will highly encourage you to please think of yourself, change your mindset and think of yourself as, yes, I can get a Fulbright. Okay, so, and it's it's very diverse, and that's what I like about the program. All levels, all ranks, tenured, untenured, postdoc, new faculty, senior faculty for every level in every discipline you can think of. Humanities, applied science, hard science, STEM areas, performing arts, visual arts, all of those varied areas are part of that. Now there are 4 steps that essentially, there are 4 steps for the application process. And so when you think it's so big, I would break it down into these 4 steps. Number 1 is to review your eligibility. And we'll talk about that. Who is eligible? Okay. So if you, and I'll talk about that, but review your eligibility. Are you eligible? What are you eligible for? And to find out what you're eligible for, number 2, the CIES website, and then begin the application, which is entirely online. This entire process is all online. Okay, so to talk about eligibility, the number 1 is US citizenship, simply because it is offered, it is funded by the US Congress. So US citizenship is required. Most programs, a majority of the programs do require a PhD or a terminal degree. And if people are in our ABD, they can still apply for the program as long as they complete their PhD by the February, for the next cycle by that when they start applying. And there are some core programs that are open to master's and professional level professionals as well. Okay, and then as far as teaching experience, it depends upon the award. And a preference is always given to someone who has not previously received an award. So if you have not received an award and you are a US citizen, think about applying for one. That is already 2 checks for eligibility right there. Okay, application resources. I keep going back to that CIES org. The first place you need to start is the catalog of awards. And I'll just pull this up for a second, see if it. Do you see that? So catalog of awards. So here, it's a very searchable engine. It has many filters. So for example, if your program is, you are in biology, type biology there. Type in biology. If you know your region or a country that you want, type those in. Or if you're very open, just leave it as biology and see everything that it pulls up. Okay, so this is the catalog of awards. This is what's going to drive your application. So it's very important that, that you start with this once you know that you're eligible.
Dr. Bora, I think you've got to share that screen. So it's still on your PowerPoint.
Okay, let me see if I can. Hang on.
Sure.
You still see my PowerPoint, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm going to say is that instead of wasting time pulling that up, I'm just going to say when you go to the CIES, right up there, there is a running tab that says Catalog of Awards. Go to that Catalog of Awards, put in your discipline and look for it, okay? I don't want to take your time trying to figure out technology. So we've talked about that. Another thing that I would like, these are all running tabs. Webinars. There are several archived webinars. So in biology, if you want to say, for example, do a study in genetics in the Andes or in the Amazon, you will find webinars, archived webinars from scholars who have actually gone through that process. And even from staff, they bring in people who have received, like we have brought in Jimmy today. They will bring in people and they will, so those webinars I find to be very helpful. And beyond that, scholars themselves maintain blogs. Again, so they give you tips and strategies on what to do, what you can expect, etc. And the other piece is Connect Fulbright. Connect Fulbright, if you sign up with Connect Fulbright, they will connect you with people in your discipline. So if you have a question, say, I'm interested in genetics, but I really want to study morphology in this particular human species, then they will connect you with somebody in your very specific scholarship area. So therefore that Connect Fulbright is important. Timeline. There is very, very important to keep the timeline in mind. So as I said, it always opens in February. Middle of February, February 15th is when it opens. So be on the lookout in your brain. If you think, oh, I am very interested in the Fulbright, keep the radar open. We will send out that application. You can even go directly and find the application in February. So, and then it closes always September 15th, around that time, 15, 16, 17. For these few years that I have been the liaison, that's what I have found. So this is what happens once you submit your application. The staff will review your application to make sure that it's complete, that you're eligible, that it can be moved to the next step. Once they have that, they send it to their peer review committee to make sure that it meets the discipline-specific applications. That's October, November. After that, they have a US nationwide peer review committee for a geographical region. Say, for example, in biology in the Amazon, they will find people who are studying biology, genetics in the Amazon, and that's the peer review committee that will be reviewing your application. And then in December, you will be notified, recommended, not recommended. If recommended, we hope that you will be, those applications are then sent to the host countries. It will be sent to Peru, for example, because there has to be a partnership with the host country. And those countries are also listed in your catalog of awards. And then they do the final reviews, and they also have to say, we accept this. So it's not just US, but your host country has to say, yes, we accept Dr. Jane Doe for her research in this area. And then you will then and then the entire slate of candidates is forwarded to the US Fellowship Scholarship Board, and then you are notified. Between January and June, you will be notified about your status, and then in June onwards, it starts. What do? You get your grant packet. Catalog of awards, again, search by country. Since you can search by country, by discipline, and by activity. It's a lot of filters to find out what kind of award you might be interested in. They're also by multi-country, if you look at that, you will see that all of these awards are divided according to geographic region. And then there are particular awards in specific years. For example, there is the Fulbright Schumann Europe EU Affairs Award. So if there's, as a faculty member, you study a political science faculty member studying EU affairs, you totally qualify to apply for that award. So you should do that. So therefore, there are some very specific, topic-specific, area-specific awards that makes you very competitive if you are working in that area. Application components. The application form, very simple, name, title, just basic information. Very, very important is the project statement. All of these components are important, but the project statement, sometimes it's up to 5 pages, depending upon the award. But mostly once you're eligible, all of that is, a lot of it depends upon that project statement. Then you submit a CV. Some awards will also, in addition, will ask you to submit essays, letters of recommendation. If you're applying for a teaching or teaching research award, syllabi, a bibliography, and supplemental material, if any. If in the creative arts, writing, journalism, architecture, etc., you may be required to submit a digital portfolio. So all of those are very important. If you miss any one of the components, that is it. Whether it's by oversight or whether if it's just weak, it's very competitive. So the very minimum, make sure that you check box each and every one of those components. At least a complete package at the very minimum. You don't want to be disqualified for being incomplete. To me, that's the saddest part, that you didn't check off something or didn't follow direction and therefore it's incomplete. And then you also need a letter from an international, one of the components is that you also need a host, an invitation from a host. So one of the, letter of invitation, you can start making contacts early, and there are many resources for that. Say, for example, our International Student Affairs Office, if you're interested in doing some program with South Korea, we have partnerships there. So maybe that's where you can start. Also look at who's publishing in your field. if you want to do research with a well-known researcher in your field, you can send an email and say, I'm really interested. Beyond that, there are resources in the Fulbright CIES website, as well as there are 2 other websites, universities worldwide, all universities, that's a website for all universities, and then International Association of Universities. And I find the professional organization, for example, in social work, we have the International Association of Social Work Education, and they keep a list of all the alumni or Fulbright alumni or institutions that want to participate in Fulbright. And they simply have a list of all of them. And so it was my easiest way to contact them. So your professional organization itself is an excellent resource for that. And competitive application. Very important that you may be excellent in your field. You have wonderful peer review articles and research and excellent teacher. But if it does not match, if it's not a good fit with the award description, it does not make your application competitive. So in some form or fashion, you're interested in genetics, but how does it fit that award description? So I'm sure you'll be able to find in some way. So make sure that it matches, that your expertise and experience match that award description. It's just like a job. It has to be a good fit. If it's not a good fit, then the chances, regardless of how strong it is, its chances of not qualifying are high. So the focus, say, for example, you have an excellent resume, you've done all of these wonderful things, you've written all these peer review, but your focus, what are you going to do? How are you going to use that knowledge or competence or expertise for the Fulbright program? How is it going to impact your host? So that piece is very important. And the CV, if you have biographical information that's 20 pages long, keep it to your CV. I cannot emphasize enough the importance of reference letters. Start contacting your references early who can speak to your work, not just a generic person. So it speaks to your discipline and to your work. Okay, so it's important that you to think about who might be able to write your reference. And at the end, I say each part of the application is important. Each builds on the other, supports the whole, and they look at the whole package. So for example, if you're very strong, you're very competitive, but your reference letters are weak, you might get minus points because there's a rubric that they use for all of these. So it's important that we're strong in each area. Project statement, very, very important to write a very strong project statement. Okay, so brief introduction, why Fulbright, why this country, why this specific university or laboratory, what are your skills that you bring, and how is it going, the outcomes of the grant, how is it going to impact your host? It's not just what you bring, but how do you make an impact on your host country, on the institution? They want to see that outcome piece. And finally, how adaptable are you? Because very often people will find themselves that you have this research, and we find ourselves like perhaps Jimmy found out in this pandemic that you have to adapt, you have to be flexible, you have to change, not only to the cultural situation, to the language, but even your research might change a little bit to adapt to the research with your host partner. So therefore, the adaptability piece, the flexibility piece is important. Grant benefits depends from grant to grant. And so the country benefits you can find in the catalog of awards, but everything is paid for in addition to a stipend. Some awards allow you to take dependents and family, and they pay for schooling, research, work, travel, all of that. And so it really depends upon the length of the program, the specific program, and all of those grant benefits are listed under each program. So please do take the time to read the specifics for what you are applying. And one more thing, beyond these, the scholar programs, if you feel like this is too much, I cannot commit to this, there are also Flex Awards. Flex Awards are just that, very flexible. They are short-term. It can be like you have an expertise, you want to talk about something, a public talk, mentoring students, teaching, engaging with the community. And so look into the Flex Awards in the category as well to make sure that, this is something you're interested in, but don't want to commit too much time. This is something that might fit in with your schedule. And finally, we have these websites that I put up there. And so do look into as I said, the webinars, the blogs. And if you do a Google search Fulbright program, you will be able to find the information. And to summarize, what would I say? I would say whether you want to teach, conduct research, or pursue a combination of teaching and research, it's very flexible. Look at the catalog of awards. Start thinking about it. If you have already thought about it for next year, that's great. If not, think about it for the following year. We're trying to sow the seeds. So if you're thinking about 2022, that's fine as well. Attend these workshops like you are, so that we can, talk about it and make those connections. Catalog of awards, again, I encourage you to please review the website and look at the catalog of awards. Please contact me if you have any questions. You can also send an email to CIES. Your program officer for that particular award is listed under that catalog of awards with the name and contact. They're excellent about getting back. So please do that. We do want our faculty to be more, and students to be more involved with international opportunities. And this is fully paid and so prestigious that it only adds to your professional development and growth. So with that, this is all I have. I don't see any questions. I'm going to stop sharing. Do you see any questions for me at this point, Dr. Price?
I don't. For just a quick thing for the faculty members, Dr. Bora mentioned different types of Fulbright programs. A big program that I'm a big believer in for faculty is the Fulbright Specialist Program. This is 2 to 6 weeks, and it is a program for a specific group of disciplines that are to be thought of broadly. I'm going to do I'm doing a video at the moment, and I'm going to send that out to the faculty that gives you the rundown of that program too. So if the 1-year commitment seems a little too much, the Fulbright Specialist Program might be right up your alley. So be on the look for that. And on Monday, you will get an email from me as a follow-up in which I include the Fulbright Scholar website and the webinars. I'm a big believer in the Scholar webinars, yes, partly because they're done every year and you get to hear new trends of what the countries are actually funding. And so sometimes you can begin to see that you fit better in a particular location than you originally thought, just because that country is kind of funding your particular area at the moment. Yes. But I'll make sure all that gets into your inboxes sometime on Monday. We do have one question. Would a professional with independent practice be eligible for these faculty awards?
So yes. What I would answer to that is yes, just the flex, and look at the flex awards too, so because the diversity of opportunities is huge. So look at the awards and see exactly what fits in with your practice. Yes, there are awards. And having been a Fulbright recipient myself, I would say that flexibility is key. I may want to go to one country, but I fit better with another country. That piece is important. And that project statement was huge. So like Matt's saying, I think it would be great if we will be sending out all these information to the participants.
Absolutely.
The CIES. And once you have had the chance to review, look at all of the awards, be open to any award and all awards in your area, in your professional expertise, even in a general interest area. And you never know where it'll take you. So I'm going to hang around a little